She's an absolute star, and she resigned from cabinet, as did Ian, on a matter of deep principle. She knew that the Brexit deal was the worst deal in history. And I'm afraid, unlike other cabinet members who say they're Brexiteers, she knows what Brexit really means. And she stood up for her principles, and she resigned. Before we welcome Esther to the stage, let's just look at her in action.
Esther McVey goes, and maybe no surprise because she was thought to be one of those who was most argumentative, most unhappy.
Why, oh why, are we handing over £39 billion and what for?
Can the Prime Minister assure the House today that the UK will be leaving the EU on the 29th of March 2019, come what may?
It is about trust, not only in politicians, but trust in what the people had voted for.
We voted out, and we must always remember that.
People who know me know that I'm forthright, I am feisty, I am straight talking.
Please welcome to the stage
Esther McVey, MP.
Wow, it is amazing to be here this evening. When I was invited, they said, come along because you will be amongst friends. You will be amongst fellow people who voted Brexit, and I'm here tonight. Now, we all will give our message in a different way. We all talk a different language. We've all lived a different experience. But that message is the same one. That we all believe that there is a better future ahead of us. We all voted Brexit, and we all want to get out the EU. And when I said I'd come to tonight, I didn't really know how important tonight was going to be. I didn't really know how important today was going to be, because really, a couple of years ago, you would have thought you'd be celebrating tonight. We're on our way out. It would all be fine. We're on our way out. But actually, the truth is, that isn't the case. The Brexit roller coaster isn't over. And I'd say to everybody in this room tonight, do you know what? Buckle up, sit tight, because that roller coaster ride is about to get harder, tougher, and we've got hell of a journey in front of us, starting tonight. And it has been a roller coaster of a ride, hasn't it? The campaign wasn't easy. Project Fear wasn't easy, but we fought it and won. And then we got the result, an unexpected result, but we got it. So we thought all was going to be fine, but actually it was winning, and that's where the Remainers started to infiltrate. That's where Chequers was designed, where resignations happened. When the withdrawal agreement came forward and resignations happened, we had votes of no confidence in the PM. And then this week we saw the biggest ever rejection of that withdrawal agreement, and then a vote of confidence in the government. And what we're going to see now is not a pivot to safety to deliver Brexit. We're going to see a pivot away and possibly a complete overtaking, reversal, and removing to remain. But we can't let that happen. We won't let that happen. I felt the energy in this room, and we're going to take it out to our fellow Brexiteers and make sure that does not happen. And we won that vote fair and square. We got told we were coming out, we were told about the red lines, we were told about everything else. In our manifesto at the 27th general election, we got told out of the customs union, out of the single market. But I'm standing here today thinking it's not going to be as plain sailing as that. And do you know what I'm going to say today? Maybe we sat back. Maybe there's a little bit of blame that should be on our shoulders. We won. We expected it to happen. We believe in democracy. We thought we could trust our MPs. We thought it was going to happen. We told them what they wanted. We are public servants. We work for you. It should have been plain sailing. But you know what? Because of our trust in the people we elected, we thought it would go through. But that's not transpired to be the case, because 75% of the MPs in the House either voted Remain or they campaigned for Remain. We thought they would have listened to us, changed their views, and implemented what we'd asked them to do. But that seems it isn't the case. And you know how it started? It's quite interesting how it started. It was simple. It was in or out. We voted out. And then the word Brexit came along, and there were subtle changes in language. Brexit allowed the rewriting of history. Brexit moved, was it soft? Was it hard? Was it red, white, and blue? Was it a pick and mix Brexit? And all of a sudden, people have forgotten. They're confused about what was on that ballot paper. But I know there was no confusion. It was in or out, and we've got to remind people of that. Now, we've had the hokey-cokey Brexit, the half in, half out, with the checkers and withdrawal. And we've now got the topsy-turvy world of Brexit, where instead of leave meaning leave, leave now means remain. Exactly. And we've got to change that back around again. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about my journey to get here today, because it probably did start at Chequers. And I went to Chequers last summer, and interestingly, all those hundreds of pages of legal text that we had to go through and decipher, was that right or wrong? When do you think we got it? Yeah, a couple of days before. So we went there, like you'd have an away day. We thought it'd be about discussing. We thought we'd be out talking about it. They'd probably have, suggestions put either way, people saying what they thought about it. What we did not know, as we sat and had dinner, yes, we did, our mobile phones were taken. We didn't realise there was a press release going out. Didn't realise it was meant to be unanimous consent for what had gone on, because there wasn't. Many people spoke up and said this wasn't what we believed in. And as you know, 2 people resigned straight away. But I listened to the words. I hope people were listening to me. And they said, we will listen now. It doesn't seem right. In fact, it wasn't us who rejected it. It was the EU. So I carried on, going forward, putting my suggestions through, being told Brexit meant Brexit, being told there were 4 red lines, being told we'd deliver the result for the people. And then came the withdrawal agreement. 585 pages of a document, a political declaration, and the Attorney General's legal advice. Do you know when we were given that to read? Yeah, the night before. Do you want to try reading 585 pages of legal text? And then that morning, 8 a.m. to 2 p.m., when the meeting was, in the reading room so things couldn't be taken out. Well, I asked for lawyers. I asked for a constitutional expert because I wanted to go through what was going on. We knew where the key issues were. We knew where we needed to probe. Did that make sense? I wasn't given those people, but I knew enough people to call up and maybe ask what it could mean. I also wanted to know, what about our free trade agreements, what we wanted? We'd heard about the Common Rule Book. We'd heard about the Customs Union. And I wanted to know, could we have those free trade agreements? What would it mean? And if we couldn't have them in their entirety, because we'd been curtailed from having that, what could it mean? Was it 60%? Was it 70%? Could we have one with America? Could we have one with Australia? Could we have one with Canada? Could you draw me a chart of what this really means? I asked for that for weeks upon weeks, never got it. I went to see the Prime Minister privately. I said, I have a serious concern with what's going on. You can't say too much at Cabinet nowadays. It finds itself in the paper the next morning. It's less of a cabinet now, more of a sieve. So I said, can I see you in private? I said, this withdrawal deal will not wash. I said, I've got a 9-point plan here of how I think it'll pan out. In fact, I think everybody will unite against this withdrawal agreement. I think it might be quite chaotic afterwards. What will we do then? Where will we go then? I said, my advice is to do another Salzburg speech. Say this isn't good enough, we've tried. Go back to the EU. Say for the 39 billion we want a free trade agreement, not just to talk about one. And we want to get rid of the Northern Ireland backstop. Their advisors and everybody around us said, we will get the vote. It will pass. It is a good deal. It takes a special kind of genius to get that many people to oppose your deal. And they thought I was the mad one telling them the vote wouldn't get through in the House. So when I went to Cabinet the next day, reassured by their words that they were going to win the vote. And I wasn't. Having heard the Attorney General say this was an ugly sister of a deal, I said, if you think that, if Cabinet Ministers think that, what do you think the public's going to think of that? I said, I can't put my name to this document because this document will last far longer than my term in Cabinet. Little did I know it was going the next day. Last far longer than me in Parliament. It'll last far longer than me. This is about the UK's future. I said, I can't put my name next to that. So I said, because, to be fair, there were dissenting voices around the Cabinet table. And I said, can we have a vote of the Cabinet? And the reason I wanted to do that is I wanted people to focus on what we were doing. We'd been there for 5 hours. Everybody had pretty much spoken for 20 minutes apiece. We'd gone round the table. People were saying, oh, it's not good enough, I don't like it, or it's fine, it'll go through. And I said, let's take a vote. This is so important. We believe in transparency. We believe in democracy. On the biggest thing ever in our lifetime, in our political lifetime, let's take a vote in the Cabinet. It wasn't unheard of. Other Prime Ministers had done it, but it is down to the Prime Minister. And I was shouted down and told, no, we're not going to do it. I will use an expression from Liverpool. Everybody hid behind the pencil rather than having to vote, so they couldn't be seen. I left Cabinet the next morning. I went home that night. I wrote my resignation letter. And I think the two most important words were trust and confidence. Trust that we'd given you for you to vote and give us an answer. Trust from you to us that we were going to deliver them that. And confidence. You have confidence in the United Kingdom and its capabilities. We had to have confidence in the United Kingdom. And then there was a little bit of, not Project Fear, but Project Smear against me. I was the person who flew into a rage. I had a meltdown. I was crying, whatever it was. It's what they try and do when they're trying to say, really, emotional lady who can't cope with the heat. And that is rubbish. Thank you very much indeed. I have steel that runs through me. And I am a public servant, like you've seen Kate, like you've seen Ian here, spectacular public servants, and we will do what you ask us to do when we've got the confidence to do it. And now what we're talking about in the House is slightly bizarre to me, because on the 29th of March, we are leaving the EU. And the default position, which everybody has signed off on in the House, is to leave without a deal. That is what we put in place. That is what we have agreed to. So it is only right we do the preparations for no deal. It is only right that we make sure if that's what we've put in law, we can cope and we can deal with that. Civil servants, to be fair, have been working those plans. That preparation is in place. Money has been put aside for that. So first of all, we have told the Prime Minister, go back to the EU and get a better deal. No backstop on the 39 billion for a future trade agreement. And at the same time, running parallel, because we must do that in order to get a better deal anyway, is to continue with our no-deal preparations, because that is what is happening. We cannot put our head in the sand. So Project Fear has now started on what all of the MPs signed off ages ago, triggered Article 50 ages ago. Nigel said before about the unemployment, as Minister and then Secretary of State for Employment, like Ian, who started the change in the employment system, who brought in the new system back in 2010. Do you know in this country from 2010, 1,000 more jobs each and every day has been created until 2018. And it is still continuing. More jobs have been created in the UK since 2010 than France, Spain, Ireland, Austria, Netherlands, Sweden, and Norway combined. We have taken youth unemployment down by 50% in the UK, but across Europe it is sky high. We're looking at our youth's future. We want them to have a better future. A better future is outside the EU. They told us investment would stop coming into the UK. It hasn't, it's at record levels. They said our tech industry would be very vulnerable. It's not the case. Google's come here, SoftBank's come here, Amazon's come here. Do you know what now? In London, we've got more coders than in San Francisco and New York. This is the place to be. And technology is the future. Technology is the big disruptor of this modern age. That is what is changing jobs. That is what is changing enterprise. That is what is changing the shape of the world. That is what we've got to deal with. It's got to work for us. It's got to work for the country. It's got to work for where we're going. Technology will also give us our solutions. The solutions for transporting goods. The solutions for customs arrangements. It will give us our future. You can now set up a business in your bedroom and be anywhere in the world. So to look backwards in a rear-view mirror about what is happening with 28 countries in the EU, you're looking at the wrong problem and the wrong solution. The solution is to be an agile country. It is about being a nimble country. It is about making technology work for you, and it is about going out there in the world, being able to be, as I say, nimble, making your decisions quickly, and technology is what is going to unleash that when we are out of the EU. Now, I am pleased to be here among so many people who made sure that Brexit happened. And I am pleased also to be an MP with fellow MPs here. And there's not many of us who believe in the cause, but we're fighting hard. We're fighting hard for you, and we will not rest as a minority in Parliament until you get what you voted for. Is that okay?
Fantastic. Young brother, Duke.